Good morning. Welcome. I'm Leslie Ahom. I'm Director of Communication for the City of Boulder. At this morning's news briefing, Boulder District Attorney Alex Hunter and Chief Tom Kobe will provide some information relating to the Ramsey case in three specific areas. Those three areas are resource allocation, timing relating to the DNA testing, and finally some general remarks about the timeline of the case. Following their comments, District Attorney Hunter and Chief Kobe will take about 10 minutes of questions relating to those specific areas. We'll begin with remarks from District Attorney Alex Hunter.
This may not be a good sign, but I already need some water. As I watched the dawn arrive this morning, I was doing my workout, which you don't allow me to do anymore midday, and I had the local morning paper, the two Denver papers, to see what had transpired about this case overnight. And it was interesting for me to read in my local paper about what a reporter referred to as botched handwriting analysis or gathering, to peek at the Denver papers and read about what one lawyer referred to in an article as the scorched earth policy that was underway in Boulder in terms of the release of information and secrecy and specifically with respect to the autopsy reports that we feel should not be released because we feel at this point in the investigation that it would do substantial harm to the public interest. And I thought about the responsibilities that I have, that Chief Kobe has, and frankly I thought about the responsibilities that you as journalists have. I'm not a journalist, I never have been, but for almost 25 years I have met with many of you and we've talked about your responsibility. You've explained things to me that I think have helped me to understand what you have to do and what role the media plays in American society. And in fact, I have to tell you that some of the reporting that I have reviewed has provided insights to me in terms of this case. And that's been true for me over the years. But, you know, as I watched our beautiful morning come in here in Colorado, I also remembered conversations that I've had with many of you individually about what I think is a shared responsibility in this case, and that is to do justice for JonBenet. And I know that's how many of you feel because you've told me that. And I want to reiterate to you today, and Tom Kobe will speak for himself, but we're on the same page when it comes to that. It is clear to me that these have been difficult times for you guys. I know that your editors push you real hard. Some of you have told me that. Some of you have told me that you understand exactly where Chief Kobe and I are coming from. And of course, that place is wanting to maintain a special integrity in this case, a case like we have never seen before, a case like I don't think any of you have ever seen before. Integrity. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as we proceed through this dialogue to some extent with you. That means we don't want to prejudice this case. We don't want to see happen to this case what I have seen happen to big cases here in Boulder. Sam Shepard, problems with the Laura Jaquette case in terms of media. and problems that you all are aware of as journalists that have impacted the community, the public interest over time. We don't want that to happen. But we know that keeping it so close to our vest has made your work very difficult, has made it tedious, has frustrated you. It has resulted in part in small leaks becoming big pieces of news that have taken the front page from time to time, and I have to say to you, or given an emphasis, if not on the front page, that probably is not accurate in terms of where we are, where we're going, what we're thinking about. We don't like making your jobs difficult because that probably comes back to get us. You guys have the barrel of ink, we have none. But I know enough of you that I have worked with for a long time to know that we are all zeroing in on the same thing, that we are looking for the truth and we are looking to do justice in this case. And that's what Chief Kobe and I are going to continue to do, and we hope that you will understand that when we say things, we're trying to think about what we are going to say and its impact on the viability of this case. We've moved to a little different stage, we feel, in this case, this investigation. Things have narrowed for us, and we think we are now at a point where we can begin to have more conversation with you, but within that framework that I have just mentioned and that I spoke to when we had the press conference in the Globe Matters. The challenge for an old prosecutor like me, given the cases that we have watched recently, is to do it right, not to use tricks, to seek out the best of the best to work on this case, because this is not Tom Kobe and Alex Hunter's case. You know, this is the case of the people of Boulder, the people of Colorado, and certainly without exaggeration, the people across this country who this case has touched and who call me, and I can tell when they call me that they are full of emotion, that tears are often on their cheeks as they talk about the loss of this child who was really our child. And that is driving us to stay on this path, a path that we hope will have as few mistakes as possible, that will be a path of truth, of high integrity, of meeting the challenge of doing it like it has not been done in a lot of cases that you and I have studied, that we have seen fail, cases that we have seen brought too quickly, including right here in Colorado, too quick a rush to judgment. We're not going to do that. We're going to move forward one day at a time, one step at a time. We're going to try to be as smart as we are capable of being smart, and we're going to try to draw on the experiences that we have had over our careers and the experiences that our people have had and bring that to bear. And we're going to tell you about other resources that we have brought into this case, and not today or not yesterday, that have been in the process, being developed, being worked out for some period of time, to hopefully give you a sense of how significant this case is to us and how committed we are. And I need to say to you about this case that after a number of years, a quarter of a century, really more than that if I throw in the time that I was a deputy district attorney trying drunk driving cases, you come to have a feeling in your belly You feel your instincts sort of rise to a level. It's sort of, it's like being maybe in a zone. That's where he is and where I am. We know where we're headed. We know this case is going to be solved. We know it. And I can think of cases in the past, over the years, where I didn't have that feeling. We're going to solve this case. But we're going to do it our way, and we're willing to pay the consequences of your frustration, and it's not just your frustration. I know how the people, your readers, and your viewers, I know how they feel about this case. They want swift justice. They want us to move on it. I get these telephone calls at all times of the day and night. Why is this thing taking so fast? Why haven't you made an arrest? Why aren't you doing this? They'll tell you about commentaries they've read or what they've heard on talk radio about what you ought to be doing. And we try to take those calls and we try to speak to them because those are the feelings and the conscience of much of our community which we need to be sensitive to. Now, there was another thing in the paper I read this morning. A professor down at Metro State, a journalism professor, who talked about, these guys in Boulder are arrogant. These guys in Boulder, they forget that they're accountable to the people of Boulder and the people of Colorado. Well, if I come across as arrogant, I apologize to you for that. I don't feel inside myself that I'm being arrogant. I feel like I'm being smart. And I think the people that elected me expected me to be smart. And so maybe it comes off as arrogance. And Tom Kobe and I know who we're accountable to. I mean, we don't know everything, but we do know who we're accountable to. So, I appreciate, as I mentioned, those insights that are helpful. I understand those things that are printed that simply need to be printed, that are parts of your job. I have to say to you, I am repulsed at some of the irresponsible press, particularly the tabloid press, that I don't think is helpful. And yet, at the same time, I know that's something that's allowed in our society and should be allowed, and it's okay, and I don't go throw up over it. I understand it. So we're going to try to make your jobs a little easier, but within that framework that I spoke to. This is a difficult case. This is a circumstantial evidence case. Those cases take longer. They require more patience. And I hope that for your viewers and for your readers, you will talk about the difference between some kind of eyewitness case and the kind of case that we have dealing with the death of this sweet, innocent, beautiful child. Now, I've had the feeling in recent days that you've got us kind of on a, sort of like a countdown, kind of a countdown atmosphere. And, that there's a deadline that's kind of fast approaching. I have to reject that and tell you and tell your viewers and readers that we can't be pushed in to that kind of a track or fall prey to that. We've got to proceed in the manner that I've said. And I need to say to you at the same time that I have the same kind of feelings that many of you do. I want this thing to come together quickly and come together in the way it has to come together for a prosecutor so that I can meet the burden that I must meet, that's the right burden. And so you may have a feeling at some point in time, why aren't there charges yet? We know this, or we read about this, or we speculate about that. Why no charges? The reason is that I'm not going to file anything till I feel I have it. You know, I share with you that I myself feel the agony of this case every time I see a television report, read an article, see a magazine cover with a baby on it. I'd do about anything to have a rapid resolution to this tragedy. But I've got to stay on this path that I have mentioned to you. So I don't want you to have heard me to lecture you at all, because I think, as many of you know, I understand your role. But I'm hoping that maybe this shared responsibility that I think we have to the American public can be captured in more of your treatment of this case. And I hope that you'll be able to let your viewers and readers know that we need to check and double check the accuracy of our evidence, of our interviews, of all of the things we are doing. We need to double dot the I's and double cross the T's. And we're doing that, and we're going to continue to do that, and we hope that the public can bear with us, that they will understand that to do it otherwise would not be smart. This may fuel the fire of speculation to some degree. And at the least, it gives the fire more time to burn. And that, I think, is unfortunate, but ultimately, frankly, of little consequence to me. From the beginning of this investigation, I have to say to you that as I have sat with this chief of police on almost a daily basis, that our philosophy has been to concern ourselves only with the way this story ends, not with the way the chapters are written. That's how we have been proceeding and will proceed. In the end, a successful prosecution of the murderer of this child is all we want. And I know that most of you out there, that is the result that you want too. Now, to achieve this result, in part, requires more than that Tom Kobe and his people and Alex Hunter and my people, and I might say about my people, when I tell you about the number of years that I've been at it, when I look at my homicide unit, the head guy in that unit has been with me for 23 years. That homicide unit, made up of 4 people, each of whom is specialized in homicide investigation, have worked together on many, many homicides. The fact that I have been in office so long, maybe too long, has allowed a continuity in terms of this team, if I can call it that, that probably is unlike the continuity that any DA's office can boast. Now, I'm not going to underline the word boast, because I want to make it clear to you and to the people that you communicate to that we are not going to rest on that alone. And I've read about, the composition of this team, and, there's sort of a sense of almost a David and Goliath thing. Well, let me tell you what we have put together. And we're telling you this today because it started to leak out. It got out in one of the morning prime shows, and we're trying to treat the media equally, and we knew this leak was underway, and so we felt that we should tell you about this and be able to tell you about the nature of the squad that we are putting together, because we wanted to be able to tell you that primarily first. We're calling it an expert prosecution task force. I want to tell you that on that task force, and meeting as we speak with one of our investigators, is Henry Lee, who heads up the Connecticut State Police Crime Lab. He is the preeminent crime scene analyst probably in the world, certainly in this country. And we have some biographical information that we are going to give you about Henry Lee. I have been talking with Henry Lee for weeks. He meets today, as I mentioned, with one of our investigators to begin the careful process of reviewing crime scene information. And I would, if we had lots of time, I would love to tell you about the cases that Henry Lee has been involved in. Excuse me. And the magic that he has brought to those cases. On this team are District Attorney Bill Ritter of Denver, Dave Thomas, DA Jeffco, Jim Peters, DA Arapahoe County, Bob Grant, District Attorney, Adams County. These people I have roundtabled with. These people will continue to be roundtabled with as they participate in the development of this case, its strategy, its tactics. They have committed any resources in their offices that we need, and I am in constant touch and have been with these people that have extraordinary skills, which together with the skills of my people, I think, mount a team that I feel particularly proud of. You need to know that I have been in contact with Barry Scheck over the weeks. Many of you know who Barry Scheck is. We've got some information for you on that. Professor at Cardozo Law School, 18 years. One of the finest DNA experts. Sits on the New York Commission that regulates all of the forensic labs in the state of New York. He is a man, I believe, with extremely high integrity, like Henry Lee. And he is serving as a consultant to the chief and his people and to me and my people. He will be working on DNA matters and other matters, including crime scene analysis. Now, you need to know that in addition to that, there are other experts that I am not going to talk about at this time that are doing a variety of specialty work for us that is common in complicated, especially circumstantial evidence cases, and you need to know that we will be seeking, as we have sought, the best of the best. We feel that we can match the resources of anyone in bringing to bear on this case, in our search for the truth, to do justice, the very best that is available. I know there's some speculation about the Capital Crimes Unit, and let me tell you exactly what is going on there, and with some caveats that I hope you will pay special attention to. Yes, I have met with the Capital Crimes Unit. Chief Kobe's people have met with the Capital Crimes Unit. We have been briefed by them. We have been given information, written information from them. We know exactly what they have to offer, and of course the issue is, when does this matter move to a point where the question of capital crime becomes relevant? We are not at that point. But you need to know that at this point, the point that we are at, there are matters and issues and concerns that are relevant to how we do things now that could bear on an ultimate decision to seek the death penalty in this case. Those things are being done. But I have not enlisted through the protocol of the Attorney General's office, I have not triggered the mechanism that allows all of that to come to pass. But it is true. We have met with them. We will continue to meet with them. They have handled all of the significant capital cases in Colorado. They are very expert. They have their own investigator. They have given us insights that are important, critical, that we didn't have, and they add to that resource pool that we feel this case justifies. Finally, I want to say to you, through you, I want to say something to the person or persons that committed this crime. The person or persons that took this baby from us. I mentioned the list of suspects narrows. Soon there will be no one on the list but you. When that time comes, and as I have said to you, that time will come, Chief Kobe and I and our people and the expert prosecution task force and the other resources that we bring together are going to bear down on you. You have stripped us of any mercy that we might have had in the beginning of this investigation. We will see that justice is served in this case and that you pay for what you did, and we have no doubt that that will happen. You need to know that everyone in America is watching. The death of this child has broken all of our hearts, except apparently yours. It has left a permanent scar on our conscience. There must be accountability. There is going to be accountability in this case. I promise you. That's my job, to make that prosecution happen. And I say to you that there will not be any failure in that regard. We will ensure that justice is served for this community, for this nation, and most important, for JonBenet. Thank you.
Good morning. I knew I shouldn't have followed Alex, so I will keep my comments brief because we've about run to the end of the time we have allotted for this. I don't think I need to reiterate anything that Alex has said to you this morning. I think he said it well. What I would like to do is to touch on a couple things that continue to be issues that get bounced around and speculated on and misinterpreted, and so I think it's time to clear these things up. The first issue, and they are related issues, the first being the processing of our evidence. As you know, we were in the crime scene for many days, approximately 8 days, collecting, gathering evidence. Much of that evidence is at the crime lab, the Colorado crime lab, being processed. That takes time, a lot of time. Specifically, what has been focused on is the DNA evidence that we have collected. And that has, a lot of that has, that testing at CBI has been completed. But that is not the end of the processing of DNA evidence. The evidence that has been processed, completed at CBI, is being transferred to the Cellmark labs in Maryland for final DNA testing. That process can take up to another 6 weeks or so. So what I would like to emphasize in this forum today is the fact that this case is going to take a while. As Alex pointed out, this is an evidentiary case. We will not be making moves on this case in terms of filing charges, et cetera, until we have completed the processing, the testing of all of the evidence that we have to date. And so we could be looking at several months before we complete this investigation. I think it's important for you as media representatives. We know this has been hard on all of you. The time that the out-of-town media has spent in our community away from your homes and families, we know that's been difficult. And so we want to give you some time frame. We also want to give our community a time frame on this, that as we said from the beginning, we are in this for the long haul. This is not going to be quick. And so to prepare our community for that ongoing process that has to take place in order to bring this to successful resolution. Lastly, I would like to say to this community, the Boulder community, Alex touched on it, but I want to re-emphasize it. This community has been extraordinarily supportive of this police department. We have gotten hundreds and thousands of responses from the Boulder community in support of our approach to handling this case. And so the test that Alex talked about in terms of meeting the measure of the expectation of the people we are responsible to, we feel has been met and exceeded the expectations of this community. And then I would also like to say to my people, the members of the Boulder Police Department, the member of the Boulder County District Attorney's Office, that in the face of this most difficult situation, as Alex pointed out, there are none bigger than this that have gotten this kind of scrutiny. That you have stood the test and you have responded professionally. You are true professionals in the genuine sense of that word. And I think you could hear it in Alex's voice, and I think for those of you who know me, know that when I say this, I mean this. I truly love the people in my organization and what they have been able to produce and what they have been able to withstand. So with that, I think it's important to allow you the time to ask your questions. And I will ask Alex to join me and Leslie to join me at the podium so we can deal with some of the issues you have.
As we said at the outset, we will take some questions relating to the remarks today. We're not reopening the case here, so we will go ahead and...
I have a question for Mr. Hunter,
yes, sir.
if I may. You said the case is narrowing. Can you say whether the suspect list is narrowing? And if so, the evidence you've gathered so far, does it point to any one person or persons?
I'm only going to say again that it is narrowing. But in fairness to you, you need to know that in order to do this job the right way, we begin with an extraordinary large pool. We've got to take that all to ground. And what I meant by that is that that large pool is being narrowed and narrowed and narrowed and narrowed. And I'm not going to get into whether there's 10 people or 100. It's narrowed. We feel momentum. We feel that progress, significant progress is being made. But I don't want to say more than that because I feel that it would be misleading and so on. I think that, yes.
Quick follow-up. Why are you so certain that you will find whoever did this? Can you give us something on that?
You're just going to have to bank on some rather subjective things that I talked about. Tom and I have talked about it. It's the way things are progressing and developing, but it's how things fit together, pieces that are starting to get into place. And a lot of it has to do with our gut feeling. And by that I mean more than Douglas's comment that he could feel it in his heart. I'm talking about something that is different than that, but that is based on a tremendously long combined period of working with homicide cases and looking at different factual situations. But I don't want to be more specific than that.
Mr. Attorney Hunter, you said in your remarks that it was incorrect to characterize your struggle to solve this crime as David versus Goliath. You said you're not as weak as David. You've got a strong team. Who's Goliath, and why would you use that analogy?
There have been remarks that have been made by the media about different lawyers and when the Simpson case took place, they had resources that might not be available to Boulder. And what I'm saying to you is that in reading the general media treatment of this case, I have had the sense that some of you have inferred, if not said directly, that, you know, the Boulder Police Department, only 200 people strong, compared to the LAPD of 5,000, 10,000 strong, the Boulder DA's office with 22 lawyers compared to the LA DA's office of 1,000, or, you know, these defense lawyers and that. And I felt, in fairness to the public, that they should hear the prosecutor in Boulder say, here's what I feel about my own team, but this is a big enough case, and we're able to put, hopefully be humble about our experiences, to draw in some of the best DAs, certainly in this state and in the nation, to assist us, to brainstorm with us, to roundtable with us, and to go and get the best crime scene guy we could find. That's what I meant.
So you're not, if I can follow, you've explained once again why it's unfair to call your investigatory team a small and incompetent like David.
I don't think there was any use of the word incompetent.
Who is Goliath? Who is your opposition? If I could be more specific, is the
obviously there is no formal opposition, and I think I have spoken sufficiently to your question in giving you, I think, some rather specific examples of what I've picked out of the press as a suggestion of not being able to match the Goliath.
Mr. Hunter, obviously this has become a DNA case. Can you tell us if the DNA evidence to date is completely ambiguous, or has it helped you to narrow down that list of suspects as you refer to it?
Next question.
Mr. Hunter, is this building crossing inside or outside of the Ramsey family?
Excuse me, we couldn't. I didn't hear the first part of that question.
Is your investigation focusing inside the Ramsey family or outside the Ramsey family as far as suspects?
Next question.
Given the timeline you're talking about.
In your roundtable discussion, you said a number of weeks ago that you were doing this case just right when you were talked to about possible outside experts, nationally known experts. We were talking about the Ramsey family's team. At this point, what made you change your mind to go and talk to national experts? And this is somewhat unprecedented as well in a local murder case.
I'm not sure when you and I talked about this issue, but and I don't think we talked about this issue. I think it should be pretty clear that Alex and I have been conferring for the last 50-some odd days with experts all over the country. The district attorney is tied into a network of his peers, both on the prosecutorial side and also the defense side. I have my peers in the policing side of things, the enforcing side of things all over the country. And we have been in constant conversation with experts on this case. And so I think that the point of your question that is well made is that this is unprecedented in terms of a local case. But I think what we all realize in this case, and it relates to why are we devoting so much energy to this investigation, I don't think anyone in the room would contest the fact that this case has taken on something of its own and that it is going to shape things. We realize that it is going to shape things in our profession, in our specific departments in terms of policy, procedures. It's going to shape things beyond our departments into the future. And I would suggest to you that you know as well it has the capacity to shape your business in terms of your coverage of this event, the accuracy or lack thereof of accuracy in what you have reported. And so I think all of us, Alex spoke to this earlier, have got to come to terms with the fact that this is something significant. We have come to terms with it. This is something significant that we need to make sure when we get to the end of this thing, that the impact that it has on our profession and the resolution of this case is done in an excellent manner and has the outcome that needs to occur. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, I got a question for Mr. Hunter. When you announced the expert prosecution task force, you said that you were putting this team because you wanted to match the resources of anyone to do justice. What am I supposed to make of the anyone? Is the person who is likely to be charged here somebody who's going to have great access to the same type of DNA experts? Do they have a lot of money?
You know, I think, you know, the question's loaded, and that's okay. You know, that's your job, okay? I don't care who ultimately I come down on. But I'm going to be ready to match the resources of anyone, because I think the case deserves that. So, hear me just to put it simply that way. This case, as I probably spent too much time discussing, but I know you agree with me, deserves that we do the very best we can. Bring in the best people, and that's what we're going to do.
We have a question right here. Excuse me, right here.
The Ramsey family.
Excuse
What are
me,
your
sir.
thoughts on that?
We're taking this question right here.
You made one comment where you said that the killer has stripped you of any mercy you may have had for him or her or them that you may have had at the beginning of the case. What is it as you've gone along that has stripped that mercy? What have you discovered that brought you that?
Well, what I was saying is that, you know, the days have gone by, 50-some-odd days. The pain that everyone feels about this loss, anybody that was worth anything, that had any kind of soul, any kind of heart, I think would have stood up. And the failure to do that, to stand up and come forward, the failure to do that has stripped me of mercy that I might have had in the beginning.
Mr. Hunter, you said that you weren't going to proceed with any charges until you had enough evidence. What is enough evidence?
Well, the rules are pretty clear. It has to be evidence that provides something that gives us a quantum beyond probable cause, that makes me believe under the rules that I can prove this case to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. And that is why the chief said to you, we are going to move along, we are going to do our work, we are going to do it patiently and thoughtfully and completely, and when we get it all done, we are going to analyze it and see if it reaches that quantum.
The Ramseys, it appears that they're moving out of town. Does that affect the case at all if they are?
That's not a question related to the topic. The gentleman from ABC.
You said earlier on, obviously you've been consulting with people from the beginning, and yet some of these names have just emerged recently. One, why did it take this amount of time to reach these certain people, to talk to Barry Scheck, to talk to some of the other gentlemen involved? And secondly, is any of this in any way directly related to the Ramsey team? People have called theirs from quite early on a dream team, that if there's any prosecution of anyone connected to this family, it's going to take a dream team to fight back. It looks from outside like that's exactly what you're putting together. Can you respond to that, please?
Well, I just say to you that as I think back over the homicides that we have had in this county over my years, that we have sought experts, often outside of the state, even in sex assault cases, something less than murder. We bring experts in from out of state. We pick up the phone. We call DAs that have had similar cases. Early on in this case, I talked to the prosecutors in some of the really high-profile cases that you know about recently. This would be done in any event, I would hope, by any district attorney anywhere in the country. So it's not, as you suggest, sort of a matching. But I think it is important for the people in this community, in this nation, to know that we are going to bring the best to this case. I think we do that in all of our cases.
We'll take two questions, Vicki and then John.
Chief, can I ask you a question?
Excuse me, Vicki first.
Chief Colby, based on the timeline, do you feel like the media or outside forces in general have placed your job on the line based on the successful resolution of this case?
Next question.
John?
Mrs. Ramsey can come down to the Sheriff's Department and complain about the media. Why can't she come down to the Police Department and talk to y'all?
I think that concludes the news conference.
Let me answer.
What about cooperation from the Ramsey?
Excuse me. Let me answer the question that follows that question. Why won't you answer the question? I was raised as a chief under the tutelage of Lee P. Brown, who was the chief in Atlanta, Houston, commissioner in New York, drug czar, currently a professor at Rice University in Houston. And Lee taught me three things about media management. One of them was, first thing he taught me was, don't answer stupid questions. Professional media people should ask you good questions. And you don't have an obligation to reach down to the level of response to a dumb question. The second thing is, don't answer questions that lead to speculation. Many careers and lives have been ruined by media speculation. And you have an obligation, I have an obligation, not to contribute to that phenomenon. And thirdly, what Lee taught me was, don't answer questions that compromise your objective, particularly in a criminal case. And so when we have questions that we don't respond to, what I am processing are those three criteria that Lee Brown drilled into me long and hard over the years that I worked with him. I will leave it to you to decide which of those three that question falls in, three categories that question falls in.
Thank you. I would just like to add, thank you all for coming. We are going to begin with this as the first of a series of weekly briefings. The next one will be a week from today, Thursday at 10 a.m. Mostly they will be provided by the public information staff. If there is a high-level announcement or significant change in the case, the chief, the district attorney, or an appropriate member of the law enforcement community will be there. Otherwise, they will be normal updates, and it will be a member of the PIO staff. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you. You want me to...
Yes. Sure.